All right, then we'll call to order the ILL Technical Group meeting on February 27th at 9:35. And then me again. We'll do the approval of the minutes from last meeting. Was there any changes or can we approve those? Do I ask for approval? I can't remember. It's been 3 months since last
It's
time
been
I
a
did
long
this, so
time.
it's gone.
If there are no changes, you can just say the minutes are accepted
Okay.
as submitted.
All right, so minutes are accepted as submitted. Was there any additional additions to the agenda? No? All right. Then we can move on to CCS staff reports with Miyako.
Excellent. So the first thing I am going to do is just pull up our sign-in sheet. I will share that in the chat. So as always with our virtual meetings, if you are able now, please sign in for meeting attendance. I will email this link out after the meeting with the deadline, and we can get the attendance to Megan for the minutes. So I am going to share my screen here. I love being in having the document open and seeing all the little icons typing away. Okay. I'm going to share my screen. I've got just a few slides. There we go. Okay. So just a few things for updates. The first one, and arguably the most exciting one, is the update about the Vernon area public library migration. So we are diving into the Vernon migration, including building their library into the database. So over the next month or so, you will start to see Vernon pop up in drop-down lists in the Leap and the client. So again, they're not going to be live until the fall. You'll see them pop up. You can just go ahead and ignore them wherever you see them in the list. Our offline period will take place over Labor Day weekend. We were able to snag Labor Day this year. And the go live for CCS libraries is set for September 2nd. Now, our exact offline period will be determined after a test day load in the spring. So we won't have exact dates for libraries until later in May. So we will publish that information when it's available for libraries. The next update is that we upgraded to the newest version of Polaris last week, version 7.7. So the update includes a handful of enhancements to the Find tool. Kiara and Molly hosted a webinar a couple days ago demoing some new features. So if you were not able to attend, but you're kind of interested in seeing some highlights, watch for the recording link. We will post that to our YouTube page, probably publish it in CCS News. So check it out. Let's see. The next quick update, we had an idea submitted to the agenda to have copyright compliance training at the ILL meeting. So I just wanted to check in with the group to see if anyone here would be interested in leading a brief training at our next meeting, or if you have recommendations for someone. Maybe you attended related training through a different organization and really liked that speaker. So depending on if the volunteer or the trainer's preferences would be for in-person or virtual, we could hold this target doing the CE at our May meeting or our August meeting or an upcoming virtual meeting. So if you are interested in volunteering or have any suggestions, throw it in chat, or you can reach out to me after the meeting feel free to email me directly. And then my final update, our next meeting in May, that is going to be the last meeting of the fiscal year. So it will be time for us to hold elections once again. So Carrie is our current vice chair. So she will assume the position of chair. We will need to elect a new vice chair and a new secretary. Just to give a quick recap of position responsibilities, the vice chair is a 2-year appointment. So you will serve 1 year as vice chair. Your primary responsibility here will be filling in for the chair if they're unavailable. And then the following year, you'll serve as chair. As chair, you will compile agendas, share meeting information, and facilitate the meeting. So just kind of like move us through the agenda. The secretary is a 1-year position. So here you are responsible for taking notes during the meeting and compiling and sharing the meeting minutes. And for virtual meetings, you will have access to the recordings. So I will share this information through the ILL listserv. If you are interested and have any questions, do not hesitate to reach out to me or one of our current officers. So Courtney, Carrie, or Megan. So those are my major updates. I will pause there and see if there's any questions. Oh, thanks, Carrie or Kiara. She popped in the recording link already, so feel free to copy paste that. Well, hearing none.
All right, then we'll move on to new business. First up is going to be Kiara with a Find More Illinois update.
All right, I just sent a request to share my screen. Oh, perfect. Thank you, Mieko. All right, so good morning, everyone. I have just a couple Find More updates for you. First and foremost, Highland Park and Northbrook launched Find More at the end of January. So officially now, all CCS libraries are live in Find More, Illinois, so that's super exciting. We are still working through some of our priority issues, which is that share lending requests being sent out to libraries with unavailable copies. So Autographics has marked that as their priority for their developers as well. And so we're hoping that we will have an updated fix soon. Most libraries have dealt with this issue and kind of know how to work around it. But if this does come up for you, please feel free to go ahead and open a ticket and send us your example so that we can share that with Autographics as well. Thankfully, this issue is not as widespread as it was at the beginning. So if your library is currently paused for lending because of it, and you want to unpause it and just work around the issue, please open a help desk ticket and I can support you through that process. Deborah and I are actually meeting with the Find More Rails team this morning to discuss the issue and learn more about like a potential resolution. And if there are any additional comments, questions, or concerns for them, this is a great time for you all to share it. I'm gonna pause. Please feel free to drop in the chat or come off mute if there's anything coming up for you that I did not cover. And Deborah, I'll give you a moment if there's anything on your end.
I do see a comment in the chat from Liz. Liz says, I was reading prior ILL notes, there was mention about only canceling and not deleting requests. Is this the same? Liz, can you elaborate a little bit more on that? Is that around canceling requests where your copy's unavailable? I'll pause and so Liz said that it's requests they're trying to borrow that don't fill. Kiara, I feel like you know this. So if a borrowing request goes to unfillable, or cannot be filled, do library staff have to delete those from ShareIt, or I believe they delete after an automatic period of time,
Yes.
right?
I don't think that we have the ability to delete, but I know that they delete after a period of time. I'm not sure what that period of time is, though. Deborah, do you know at the top of your head?
I feel like it was maybe 30 to 60
Yeah.
day time period that they'll stay in unfillable before moving off, but we can check with Rails when
Yes.
we meet with them, and we'll send an update to the group.
I don't see any other questions on my end. Deborah, are you getting any?
None on my end, but if anyone has any thoughts, again, questions that you want to make sure we pass on to Rails, feel free to shoot either Kiara or I an email, and we'll make sure we get those answered for you.
Thanks, everyone.
Then up next, we have Mieko with FMI lost item workflow options.
Yes. Okay, I'm sharing my screen again. Pop back into my slides.
Mieko, before you get going, it looks like there was a question in the chat from Amy. Is it okay for us to delete the retry and share it?
I believe it is okay. If you're not attempting, or if they're not attempting to resubmit it later on as a retry, then you're fine to delete it from the shared account.
Cool. Thanks, Carrie. Good question. Oops. Okay, so far, so kind of building off of our Find More update, so far we have not had items that loaned through Find More that have become lost or damaged. But we just want to be prepared in the event that it does happen. So if material lent through Find More Illinois is lost or damaged, there is no native way to build the item through Share It. At the December CERC ILL advisory meeting, we reviewed several workflows for managing lost or damaged items lent through Find More. And we have 2 workflow options to share with the group. Which workflow you will want to use is going to depend on your local practices and preferences. So the big difference between these 2 workflows is that one attaches the bill to the borrowing library's ILL patron record, while the second workflow attaches the bill to your library's NCIP patron record. Steps for both workflows are available on the CCS website. And you can find it under the interlibrary loan department section under the Find More Illinois topic. So I'm going to talk through 2 of the workflows, and then I'll move into Leap to briefly demo each one. So the first workflow, with this one, you will apply the bill to the borrowing library's ILL patron record. So this is probably very similar to the workflow you use with items that are lost through OCLC. So with this workflow, you will take the item off of your NCIP patron account, and you'll check it out to the ILL library record. So here, you'll manually declare it lost or declare it damaged, apply the charge, waive, or apply payment as necessary. And then your library will then issue an invoice to the borrowing library. So with this workflow, the transaction history is attached to the individual library. In the second workflow, you are declaring the item lost or damaged right in your library's NCIP patron record. So the transaction history that's associated with this bill, it's all on your NCIP patron Polaris record. You'd use this workflow if you wanted to view all Find More Illinois related transactions kind of on a central account. So with this workflow, you will start out by following your local practice for issuing a manual invoice to the borrowing library. And then once the invoice is settled, you will manually declare the item lost or damaged from your NCIP patron account. And this is an important step, immediately enter as a waive or a payment. we want to avoid using the charge option with this workflow, only because if there's unpaid fees, that could block the NSIP patron account. So now I'm going to pop over to Leap to do a quick demo of each option. So I'm going to use Fremont. I'm going to pretend like I'm a Fremont employee today. So we're going to talk about the workflow, the first workflow option. This is where you want that transaction history attached to the borrowing library's ILL record. So with this workflow, once you find out that the item is not coming back to you, you will locate it on your NSIP patron record in your list of out or overdue items. So I'm just going to pretend to be this one and copy that barcode. And then you will check the item in. So you can either do that from the record. I'm just going to pop it into my check-in screen. If the item prompts to fill a hold request, you can say no and reactivate if needed, depending on the situation. Just say yes, I will reactivate this for Joyce. And now that the item is available, I can check it out to the borrowing library's ILL account. So for this situation, I'm going to pretend that it was the Byron Public Library that had this item checked out. So I will locate their ILL, CCS ILL patron record. I will check this item out to them. And I like to hit complete and go back in just because that is me. Okay, so the item is off my NSIP patron account. It's on the Byron Public Library ILL record. And from here, I will manually declare it lost. So at this point, depending on where I am at with working with the library, I can either mark this fee as a payment, as a waive, or as a charge. So I'll say the library has already paid for this. I'm going to mark it as a payment and okay. And now, when I am in the library's account, all of the bill and the payment transaction is associated with this specific library. I'm just going to pause to check for his chat. Could you check the item out directly to the ILL patron record from the NSIP without checking in? This would bypass any home requests. Potentially. I will say whenever I test, I am usually very try to be very regimented about like doing the whole full check-in and the full checkout. So you could probably do that and test it out and it should work. Okay. So let me go back to my Fremont record. The next workflow option is what you would use if you want all FindMore related lost and damaged bill attached to your NSIP patron record transaction history. So with this workflow, step one is to send the invoice to the library, settle any kind of payment or fee agreement with them. Then once that is settled, you will declare the item lost from the NSIP patron record. So I'm going to I'll use this one. So I'll select the item, use the declare lost option. And here, again, this is where it's important to use either pay or waive. We want to avoid using charge just so that the NSIP record is not blocked due to fees. So I'll say this one is a payment. Okay, to confirm. And again, with this one, I am able to see exactly what was lost and billed through FindMore, but it doesn't allow me to easily see which library lost the bill. So I can go into my account view under the transaction summary view and see exactly which items were lost through Find More. So those are the two workflow options. Again, we've got, I will share the slides out. So you have the slides with the steps right now, and then we also have that how-to page on our website. So if this has not popped up, in the months that we've been on Find More, it's a good chance you may not see it for a while. And just reach out if you have any questions. Will bills block the borrowing library from future loans? It depends on what the library has set as like the max fee limit. So there is a chance with Workflow 1, if you charge the fee, the patron record could potentially have a block for unpaid fees. So in this case, if your library is working with them on like an OCLC loan or a different Find More loan, you may need to just override that block.
For the borrowing workflow for Find More, that item is never checked out to that OCLC account, so they wouldn't be blocked through Share It or through Find More. But as Mieko noted, then the account could reach their overall fee threshold and they may be blocked in other arenas, but they wouldn't be blocked from placing additional Share It requests.
Gotcha. Thanks, Deb.
Mieko, I couldn't help myself. I did Lori's question in the training database, and you can bypass if you want to go that route.
Thanks, Carrie. Any other questions? And Deb just popped a link to the documentation in the chat. Courtney, okay,
Yeah.
if I just jump into the next
one.
Cool. Okay, this one will be a short one. I just wanted to give a quick review of the ILLINET web report since we are at that time of year. So as you all know, the annual State of Illinois, the ILLINET survey is due by March 31st. This year's survey asks for data from July 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2024. Libraries will use a combination of Polaris, OCLC, and potentially for a few of you, Find More data to complete the survey. Anyone who went live on Find More after June 30th will only need to use Polaris and OCLC data in your survey because you don't have any Find More data during that coverage period. So you will need to use WorldShare and Share It together, the OCLC and Find More numbers respectively. But you can get the Polaris data from web reports. We recently published a how-to page on our website that covers how to use the ILLINET report. The pathway and the direct link is on the slide. I'm going to pop over to my browser so I can show you where to find the report how-to page, and then we're going to I'm going to download a report so we can walk through some major points of it. So let me exit out of here. I will come to my CCS website. So if you are in the how-to section, you can limit how-tos by the interlibrary loan department. And then there is a subtopic here for web report, related web report pages. And we've got the how to use the ILLINET web report page. So that's how you get to the how-to page. I will pop the direct link into the chat real quick as well. And then let me just go into my web reports. Zoom in a bit. We'll take a look at the report briefly together. So the ILLINET web report, it's found under the statistics section. And for this one, you will need to select the display archive. and then use the coverage date to identify which one covers the survey period. So again, it's July 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2024. So we are looking at the report compiled on January 15th. So I'm just going to click to download that. And I'll open the report up. I will try opening the report up again. There we go. Okay, so when I open this report up, I just like to delete the header information to make it a little easier to view. Let me collapse that. So quick overview of using this report. First of all, we have columns A and B that give the line number and the line description. And this corresponds to the survey question number. And then we have the amount column. And you will see one of three things in this column. First, you may see a number. And so you will use that data in your survey response, either on its own or combined with OCLC or Find More data. Second, you may see a blank line that just indicates there's no Polaris data that is available to answer the survey question. Or you may see direction to enter or reuse the same number as in a different row. So for these questions, we are unable to accurately track and calculate answers for this survey, for the survey question using the ILS data. So in these cases, the data from a different survey question is the best estimate to provide the state. And then finally, there is the notes column. And this column includes important details about the data or the survey response, such as, so you could see context on the Polaris ILS data that is provided. So it may give you like the parameters for what was counted or parameters for anything that was excluded. It will also give you some details if the survey question cannot be answered using the Polaris ILS data. So I know in the survey there is like a notes field. So if you do want to copy and paste this in, you absolutely can. And then finally, it will also give you instruction on if you need to use or combine with OCLC or Find More data to complete the survey question. So that is the ILLiNet survey, ILLiNet web reports in a nutshell. I'm jumping back to the web page just for a quick second because I want to highlight something at the end of the page. So our libraries, you guys are really, really good about maintaining statistics. So I know some of you have spotted some numbers in the ILLiNet report that don't quite match up with the other interlibrary loan activity reports or what you've tracked internally. So this is due to what the ILLiNet survey is counting. So the other ILL or reciprocal use web reports, they all count checkout transactions. However, the ILLiNet survey asks for requests made. So the distinction here is that the ILLiNet survey doesn't care if something is checked out or not. It wants to know about if a request was made. So the example used in the web page is when something comes to your library for a hold, but the patron never picks it up. So how is the situation counted? So this situation is counted in the ILLiNet report because the request was made. It is not counted in those interlibrary loan activity reports because the item was never checked out. So that is where some of the discrepancy in numbers comes from between the ILLiNet report and those other web reports. So hopefully this webpage is helpful. Never ever hesitate to send something to the help desk if you find you have other questions or if something just needs a little more clarification. So I'm going to stop sharing. I'll pause if there are questions.
Okay, if there's no questions, we can move on to the next item. Which is a question from Andy over at Northbrook for discussion. Are CCS member libraries deflecting e-resources in their OCLC policies? What are e-texts and e-serials?
I actually found out the answer. And this was all because of we decided to make a deflection, which we never had before. And we realized that we never share ebooks or e-audiobooks. And so we went into our policies and we set up a deflection for e-audiobooks. The other choices were e-serials, which we thought would be magazines, e-magazines, which we sometimes could get, you know, stuff to share with that. So we didn't want to deflect that. And then e-texts, we didn't know what that was. Anyhow, we had a problem. So I reached out to OCLC, and e-texts are ebooks. So we were able to also put in e-texts and e-audiobooks. But here's the thing. I don't know if you guys do deflections, but we had never before. What we did was when you set up your deflection and you choose the type of thing you want to deflect, you have to click on either include or exclude. And we thought, oh, we want to exclude it. Well, that backfired. We noticed the next day we weren't getting any requests at all, because what happened was everything was included in the deflection except for the e-audiobook. So yeah, so what you have to do is click the item you want to deflect, the item type you want to deflect, and then hit include, which wasn't really intuitive for me. So learn from my mistake.
Then we can move on to the last item in new business, which was a question coming from Dustin, from Vernon, which is exciting. We are not on Polaris yet. I would like to know what procedures libraries follow when it comes to in-house only items. Is it checked out to the patron and held behind the desk, or is it on a special status, etc.?
It's been so long since I've had one of these that I'm trying to remember what we do when we get one. I think we keep it behind our desk, you know, at the like reference desk, without checking that out to the patron, if I remember. Might have been around 2014 since we last had something in use only, but I think that's what we did. But I'm getting old, so I don't know.
At Prospect Heights, excuse me if I'm interrupting, we do keep them behind the desk, but we check them out to the patron, asking for their driver's license, so they don't walk off with it.
Jackie, I see your hand up. Go for it.
Yeah, it's been a long time too. I think since well before COVID, but we would check them out to an in-house account, not to the patron, but they'd be behind the adult services desk and they'd have to ask for it every time they came in. So
We do the same at Northbrook.
At Wilmette, we do the same. We check it out to the patron's account. It goes behind the circulation desk, and that's where the patron picks it up and returns it. We change the due date that Library of Congress gives us to 1 week prior, so that we're getting it back into their hands on the due date.
All good tips. Thank you.
And one last thing for us, we do try to follow that as well, but we also actively avoid requesting from the Library of Congress just to prevent having that scenario in the first place if it is available elsewhere.
It's absolutely our last resort for us.
We get requests for microfilm. So we treat it like that.
Mhm.
And then some good comments coming through the chat. Couple libraries. Looks like they do the same as Park Ridge. Indian Trails keeps it at the ILL desk. Staff check it out to the member and puts a hard block on the account. When they return the item, they remove the block. At Lake Forest, in-house only items are checked out to the patron and held in the reference office. They call the patron and alert them to go to the reference office for library, in library use only. Tips.
Okay. Sorry, our elevator just went down here, so I'm trying to coordinate that with everyone on our team. It's like the 10th time it's gone down in the past couple of months. If there's nothing else on new business, no other questions or anything else?
Is it time for snacks? Is this it?
Then we can go ahead and adjourn. I can't remember if I have to call for ending or if I just say we are ending.
I feel like if we take motions in seconds, I might not be remembering that correctly.
Can I
I
get
An
don't think you
officer
need to though,
motion?
Courtney.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think you need to. I think you can just like
Okay,
declare it
good.
adjourned. Yeah.
I declare the meeting over then, and so say I.
I'll second then. Yes.
I love it. Okay. We are adjourned. I'm going to stop the recording.